It's a lot to get to. Somebody said, yeah, put some limits on him also. Hey, Shelby, good morning. All right, a lot to get to this morning. I may be getting a call, but I'm on hold, so I'll just kind of just wait. We'll see as the morning plays out, trying to get some critical information to the community. Somebody said no sound, but you rocking that scarf and braids this morning.
Yeah,
You
sound
know
is
what?
there.
Terrence, don't try to get on my good side.
All
That's you know it's T, right? Don't try to get on my good side. Don't try. After you said my hair wasn't cute that one time, no, bro, it is over for you. All right, let me do this if I may. Long, I just heard myself smack. I really got to stop doing that. I don't know where that came from. But I'll go back and watch some of the old shows because I'm looking for information, and I'm like, ooh, you sound so outrageous. Um, Couple of things to get to this morning by way of announcements. Number one, the city of Milwaukee and their health partners are providing free lead testing for children 9 months through 10 years old. Testing is going to happen at three locations. Children's Wisconsin Next Door Clinic tests every Tuesday and Thursday from 1 to 4 p.m. No appointment needed. Just show up with your babies. 2561 North 29th Street, Suite 101. Two other locations, the McKenna Brown Homeless Sanctuary. They are offering lead tests every second and fourth Saturday of the month, except holidays. Contact Julie LaRose, 414-404-0600, extension 5, 414-404-0600, extension 5 to learn more. And also the 16th Street Community Health Center, their community outreach program. They have lead testing available as well. They have a number 414-897-5594, 414-897-5594. We know that we are not out of the woods in terms of uh, lead laterals needing to be removed in the city, even though under President Biden's administration, dollars did come this way to help speed up the process. I think we were on track for 70 years. I think they got it cut down to maybe 20 years that we could potentially get all of these lead laterals removed. 70 years seemed like a lot. I have to go back and look at that data. But I just wanted to make sure um, that we are on top of that. I know that NPS has been doing a ton of lead remediation work to make sure that some of these older schools are safer. This is a problem that definitely strikes in older neighborhoods, older properties. A lot of our school buildings are old, and it disproportionately impacts Black and Brown children who live in these neighborhoods, also go to these schools. Some of our children are getting hit, you know, a double whammy because you live in an older house or older housing stock and you may attend a older school, so you can be getting hit from both sides during the course of your day as a young child. And remember, lead damage, especially harmful in young children. It can cause health issues that range from brain damage, impaired reasoning, difficulty with learning and retention, impulsivity and behavioral issues, growth and developmental delays. If you know that you live in a house that's more than 60 years old, if your child is in a school that is significantly older, you want to pay attention to this. It never hurts. Better be safe than be sorry. So remember, and when we start talking about learning, either disabilities or why our children may or may not be performing at certain levels, when this young brother tells me that they are struggling to read, there may be other things at play other than just what he's been afforded by way of education and checks and balances. So again, free lead testing for children in Milwaukee, three different sites. Please take advantage of that. Another thing that I wanted to mention to you, now this actually I thought was pretty interesting. This is for my environmental folks, and we do have environmental folks in the Black community. I know folks don't believe it, but we do. Thanks to funding from the USDA, composting, and food waste reduction cooperative agreements, The City of Milwaukee's Environmental Collaboration Office, ECHO, launched the Feed MKE pilot program back in June of last year. It's a 2-year initiative bringing together public, private, and governmental partners to address key community challenges, including food security, waste reduction, landfill diversion, and environmental impact. As a part of that grant agreement, DPW, the Department of Public Works, is supporting an effort by funding the food scrap drop off pilot program. And I was like, wait, now what are we doing? Food scrap drop off. Sign up is required to participate, but this is a way that we can definitely help our environment, to get more information about what you can drop off. And there are people that literally, they are conscientious about what they are putting in, the garbage cans and waste and all that kind of stuff. And so you got to find a drop off location nearest you. There's a map that is on the city's website. Sign up to use what's called the Compost Crusader form. If you don't see a location near you, DPW is still looking for partners to join the network to host a self drop off cart. And if you either have suggestions or want more information, you can email sanitation@milwaukee.gov. Sanitation@milwaukee.gov. And hosting a site, no cost to an organization. So again, we do have folks in our community that are concerned about what's happening to us environmentally. I remember a long time ago over at 1290, Cassandra was getting into the rain barrels, and she talking about, the need for them and why we need to pay it. Huh?
Remember when she went crazy?
Yeah, she was. And like, I literally went to a conference and I won a prize. And the prize I won was a rain barrel. And I literally brought it back to Milwaukee and took it to Cassandra. And she was just elated. So I remember her talking about this years ago. One of the things that, as we talk about AI and the huge amount of water consumption that AI requires, people are paying attention to that whole, how do we capture, rainwater? How do we make better use of our water? So I just wanted to let people know there are things that there's something for everybody. We all care about different things. There's something for everybody. Now, if I could for just a moment, I'm gonna move away from the announcements, and I do have some more, but I'm gonna move away from them for a second because let me just say this. I don't know about other people. I've heard from some folks though. When I looked at the destruction to the east wing of the White House, I said this the other day. It's not like I'm the most patriotic person in the world. I mean, I definitely, value living in America. I value, the rights and freedoms that we do have. I value our way of government when it works. There's a whole lot we could do better, but I've traveled a little bit, not extensively, just a little bit, and I appreciate the country. When I looked at the back of the White House, the East Wing, just gone, just blown off, just gone. I literally, it went between anger that one person has this much power that you can tear down a 123-year-old structure. One person has this much power. And then, they talk about he removed magnolia trees that were as old as the White House. 2 of them are now gone. For the environmentalists, conservationists, 2 of those are gone. And there was a piece that was put out by the Women's Fund here in Milwaukee that I want to share with you guys. That got the best of me too. It says, when the East Wing of the White House was constructed in 1902, it served a simple purpose: architectural symmetry to balance the existing building and provide a formal entrance for visitors. Yet throughout the 20th century, this addition became far more than a passageway. It evolved into one of the most symbolically important spaces in American public life, a place where women's leadership took visible institutional form. In 1917, suffragists deliberately chose the sidewalk outside the White House as their protest ground, determined that the president would see their call for women's rights to vote. It marked the first organized protest at the White House. Their persistence changed the course of the nation, leading to the 19th Amendment and the recognition of women as participants in democracy. Decades later, the East Wing was transformed again. During Franklin D. Roosevelt's administration, the East Wing was greatly expanded in 1942. First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt used the space for official functions as a base for her activism and to interact with groups representing the American people. By 1977, First Lady Rosalind Carter established the first formal office of the First Lady in the East Wing, fully professionalizing the role. What had become as an architectural afterthought became associated with women who advanced social reform and redefined public service. This week, demolition of the East Wing concluded, and we believe it represents the loss of a national symbol of women's leadership, visibility, and progress. For more than a century, the East Wing reflected the evolving role of women, from protesters outside the gates to leaders and doers within them. Today, we are reminded that progress toward gender equity is fragile and demands our vigilance. When you engage, you accelerate progress. Thank you. Keep on. I just had to have that moment because I think about the images of Michelle Obama in her office and meeting with her staff and working. I think about so many, there's that famous picture of Barack Obama running in the hallway, and I'm not sure if that's Bo running behind him in the hallway. It's the back of him. That's the East Wing hallway. There are so many things that happened in that room that now all we have are the photos, and I don't even trust Donald Trump with some of the artifacts that were in that room. I just don't. So when we are looking at that, this is why diversity, equity, and inclusion is so important, because all of us will look at that destruction through a different lens. But I just want to say, as a woman in this country, and what that office represented, both literally and symbolically, in terms of women being active and a part of democracy, and that we had a defined place to work. It was associated with women. And then when you get a first lady who don't give nay damn about this country, don't give nay damn about like what it really means to be the first lady in a responsible way. I mean, there's some little pet projects that they've created for Melania, but this chick stood up lying on the very first speech that she gave when she bit Michelle Obama's speech. And you so politically inept, you don't even know that whoever wrote your speech copied it. And I always wondered, did whoever do that, did they do it intentionally to embarrass Melania Trump? Because she ain't read no political speeches, and she didn't write that speech. Somebody wrote it for her. There's no way you wrote that speech for her, not knowing many of those words were Michelle Obama's words.
It could be.
I swear, I think it was sabotage.
Or maybe whoever wrote it thought people weren't going to check the receipts.
I mean, literally, what is my bond?
Yeah.
Like, girl, stop playing.
Yeah.
Stop playing. Dang well didn't nobody tell you that. Your mom and daddy ain't never told you that. But just for women that's listening, women, around the country, this hits differently. It should hit differently for us. Because now you have to figure out, like I'd love to see what the new configuration is, where the new office for the first lady is going to be. Because think about that. You building a ballroom. So where does the first lady work now? Because that means she got to take somebody else's office, some other space. I don't know. I don't know if everything's accounted for. But now women and their leadership roles are an afterthought, because one of the things that a responsible individual would have said, we know historically, symbolically, what this space has meant to women, and this is the plan to accommodate that. But this was done by a man who disrespects women, who grabs them by the pee and laughs about it, who has been accused of sexual assault by, 1920 women, who has been found guilty of sexual harassment and ordered to pay this lady millions and millions of dollars, defamation of character, millions and millions of dollars. So it's no surprise that the East Wing, which had been a working spot, symbolically, literally, for women in this country, and our role in governing, albeit as the wife of the president. But you think about when you look at the 6888, it was the first lady who was sitting there helping to make sure that those women got a chance. It was a first lady who made sure that the Tuskegee Airmen had an opportunity to fly in the military. They flew her. She was like, let them fly me. First ladies have been instrumental in moving a lot in this country by way of inclusion and equity. So let it just sink in that the raggedy individual who has a horrific record with women, married 3 times and cheated on every wife he ever had, right up to the one pregnant, and you in a brothel with a Stormy Daniels chick. The raggediest individual when it comes to his personal life and women was the person who tore down the East Wing. It says so much. Until you put it in context and until you think about it. As somebody, all them little women he got running around him, the little blonde bubble heads who don't have the wherewithal to be able to be like, do you understand what you're doing right now? There is no woman able to snatch this dude by the neck unless you're wielding a big, powerful check like Laura, what's her name? Just to snatch him by the back of that comb over and be like, hey, do you understand what you're doing? And there has been no mention of how we address this going forward. And I know Melania Trump, they've done some little interview with her talking about, well, what you think. Again, this chick was more interested in her outfits than she was in actually being a first lady to this country. But, it's hard to do because you ain't from this country. So your loyalty to America is shaky because you're not even, a naturalized citizen. So it's a little shaky. That's why we got rules about who can be a president and your lineage. So I got to take a break. But I just wanted the symbolism of this moment to stick in for people. That the man who disrespects women was the man who, could somebody turn that down on the other thing? The man who disrespects women was the man who bulldozed the space in which some of the most historic and notable activities of women in government and outside of government, as we talk about the suffragists, have taken place. Remember the scene in 6888 where the woman is standing outside trying to get the attention of somebody in the White House, the first lady, because she had gotten a letter from her family member. I think it was her son. Remember that scene? Just the symbolism of it all. The most disrespectful man we've ever had in the White House to women that we know of is the one who tore down that space that held so much women's history in relationship to this country. I got to take a break, y'all. I'll be right back. All right, family, welcome back to the show. So, I spent the first or last segment talking about the impact of the East Wing as it relates to, particularly from a gender standpoint, women in this country. Going to pivot to talk about that fact that we are in the 28th day of the government shutdown. You have heard reporters say, political pundits, observers, that they don't see an end in sight, that this certainly may surpass the 35-day record that Donald Trump currently holds for the longest government shutdown in American history. Before I get into that piece, though, there's a caller, so let's bring them in. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Good morning, Michelle. How are you?
Hey, Angela, how you doing this morning?
I'm well. I'm well. Thank God. So my question I have for you is I ride with MTM. So a
Wait, say that
Vail
again.
drive.
You do
I,
what?
I take the transportation MTM.
Okay.
You know. So they sent Vail is they a company together. So I have reported this a lot of times. The Vail drivers, to each his own how they get down, smoking weed or whatever. But every time I report that the driver car smell like weed, I was so sick yesterday going to the doctor, and the whole car smelled like nothing but weed. I had to let the window down. So I was wondering, is there any way that you can, because me reporting it ain't getting nothing done. So I wonder if you can help me look into that. So, because I can't keep riding like that with them drivers. You can't tell them how to do what they do in their car, but we don't have to get the effect from it.
Oh yeah, I don't have no problem with that. We can definitely follow up, and I'll tell you what, I'll get with you when I get off the air this morning, and then so I can get more details about the service and all of that. And yeah, we can definitely follow up on that. That ain't nothing but a phone call.
Okay, thank you so very much, and
Yes,
you all have
ma'am.
a blessed day.
Uh,
And Debo, I love you. What I was thinking about yesterday, don't worry about it. I was just going through the stage, and yes, I do go to church. I have a church. So y'all have a good day.
All right, thank you.
Bye bye.
You hear Clark laughing way in
you
the
hear that, Debo?
back.
She love you, Debo.
Why?
She love you too, man.
No, she said specifically she love you.
Pacifically?
Yeah, that's the new word.
let it
I, I,
let it
th- I
not be.
think she
Let it not be.
she knows that
Oh, you
you
want your
you
mic off? Okay, so go ahead, though. It's your
Don't
show.
act like Keon.
yeah
Don't
you
act
know
like Keon.
you
Don't be
she
better
knows
than
that you
that.
already know
Be better than
how strong her love is for you.
that. Because Keon cut your he used to make me so mad. He'll cut your mic off in a minute. I was like, boy, you act like I can't reach across this thing, man. Like it's some you in a studio blocked away from me. He would just cut it off while you was talking.
Yeah, smart man.
Yeah, was he a smart
He was
man?
smart man.
Up for debate. And let me tell you something, just side note. So last night I'm on my computer and I'm looking for um a photo, a particular photo. And I didn't, you know, organize it, save it in a file, do the right thing. It's just wild on my computer somewhere. So I'm looking for this photo. Why I come up with all the Keon family reunion photos of my because when he was doing the family reunion and he was working on stuff, he had me doing a collage thing. So he was sending me photos. I said, this is why I got no memory on my computer because all his whole family back to the 1800s is on my computer. Man, I was like, delete, 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 delete. It was so funny though that all his work was on my computer. I'm like, and I still didn't find my own picture. So anyway, I said that I wanted to take a second and talk about the shutdown. So today is 28 days in. If no, today's the 28th. Let me make sure. How many days are we in? How many? I think it's 28. How many days? Government shutdown. Yeah. Um we yesterday was the 27th day, literally today, 28th day. Okay. So they're talking about, this is the first full paycheck that a number of federal workers are going to miss in terms of air traffic controllers, members of military, with the exception that A couple of dollars have come in. We're going to try to move some money around, but that's only a temporary fix. I talked about that the members of the Senate could do what they call the nuclear vote to be able to bypass the required 60 votes needed to pass this this bill that they're trying to move in terms of the shutdown. Republicans, and I love how they keep trying to brand this that it's a Democrat problem. It's a Democrat problem, but you know, nobody is stupid, fam. Like a part of having a bipartisan government is that there is cooperation. No one side is supposed to get everything that they want because then you only got one party ruling the nation. But we have people that are represented by these legislators who not 100% ride or die. A lot of these races are lost by close margins if the lines that Republicans used to draw maps were not drawn to favor Republicans winning seats. And Wisconsin is pretty much a 50-50 state. A lot of times that has not been reflected in the amount of elected seats that Republicans hold in our state legislature and in Congress. But it is primarily a 50-50 state in terms of the way we vote. They call us a swing state, a purple state, whatever you want to say. So the idea that Republicans believe that we don't have to talk to y'all, it's our way or the highway, anything you're talking about is a non-starter. Remember, this ignorant president would not take a meeting with Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries. After the meeting, he puts out photos of Hakeem in a sombrero. Like this man is playing while people are trying to figure out how they're getting ready to survive. And you got people that ride with Republicans, that are Republicans, that, we're going to label this a Democrat problem. And we're going to cross all ethical boundaries and start putting partisan statements. The Democrats, the left-leaning radicals, the da-da-da. This is on government websites. So, yes, we are now at the stage where, as people say, it just got real, that paychecks are going to be missed in whole, that there will be, I think they said they have had more than 227 air traffic controllers called out because people get ready to go start doing Uber and Lyft and working at Amazon. Although I heard somebody getting ready to lay off 1,000 people this morning. We'll talk about that. But I've got to be able to take care of my household. And I'm not going to be showing up here every day when you got this dude saying some people may get back pay and others may not. So if I show up, and then one would reason, well, Michelle, if you showed up and you did the work, they're going to have to pay you your money. But for the people who don't come, I don't know. What we are talking about in relationship to this whole thing is so far reaching, it is crazy. While we're backfilling farmers with $3 billion in aid, you have all these other areas that are just falling by the wayside. And everybody's been asked, hey, contact your congressman, talk to your legislators, tell people not to let this happen, what's going on. And somebody said to me yesterday, they said, so Michelle, now what? When do the Democrats need to finally, throw up the white towel? And I said, you're going to suffer either way. Because you got 24 million people who do not have insurance through their jobs or public programs like Medicaid. And they use the Affordable Care Act to buy health care. So we're talking about life and death, whether we're talking about food insecurity or we're talking about somebody's ability to go get health care. We just spoke to Angela. We know that she was on her way. She's been going back and forth to the hospital. Jermaine has sat in the studio and talked about his own bout with cancer and whatever, the bill for that could be, Jesus Christ. We know that Keith has had a medical situation with I think it was a stroke that Keith had or suffered. I've had medical situations, not for a while, but I've had fibroid tumors and that whole thing and had to have surgery. Like, I don't know anybody that has not been impacted. And in ways that, had those things not been addressed, these people would not be here anymore. There is no Jermaine ride out without the ability for somebody to pay for that healthcare bill. Keith Paris potentially not on the station. Michelle potentially not here if those things couldn't be addressed. And so when the person was like, so what now, Michelle? It's not a what now, Michelle. This is not just on the Democrats to resolve. And y'all need to stop being naive and let people sell y'all that, I don't care how many times you say it, it doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it true. Republicans have had years to figure out a response to health care. You figured out how to make tax cuts permanent for the richest people in this country. You figured out how to give $40 billion in money now to Argentina. You have figured out how to do X, Y, Z, blow up drug boats, do everything under the sun. But y'all can't figure out how to make sure that Americans can go to the doctor and not be terrified when the bill comes. You want to say something, Jay?
I was just thinking about what you said, and that is so true. Like, without the medical being in place, there's no telling where I would be. There's no telling, like you said, like where Keith would be, even you.
Right.
Debo got bad feet, so ain't no telling where he would be. Neither. But but,
It's stupid.
But no, in all seriousness, is very important, to have healthcare in place, because for those people that are struggling, that might have some health issues that they will face in the future, it's a real scary situation.
I mean, I think about my grandson was in NICU for weeks,
Real scary.
Months, and he was fortunate both his parents had insurance. But what if this child was born to parents who didn't have insurance?
Yes.
How does that end for him? So no, it's not an either or for me. There is no, what somebody just said, if Democrats give in, I believe the insurance industry will reinstate the pre-existing condition clause to make healthcare even less affordable. One of the things that Barack Obama and them did. Hey, you cannot hold it against, my brother that he's had a heart attack.
Yeah.
So when the next heart attack happens, you don't have to, cover that because it was a pre-existing condition.
Yeah.
You don't get to do that. So I'm sorry, y'all. Some of these fights, we're going to have to have them. We're going to have to have them because you're going to either hurt people in the immediate or you're going to hurt the very same people in the long run. Let me go to the phone line. Hey, caller, what's happening? Hello?
Good morning, Michelle.
Good morning. Hey, how you doing this morning, Steve?
I'm all right. Well, I look at it like this. That guy, he's so sickening. It's just like you medicine in the morning, just saying somebody else feel like I do and just see all of this. Well, I have a question. It's something that sort of bothered me yesterday too. Didn't he get impeached because of Zelensky told Biden them about he was threatening them for some mineral, some type of something he was threatening them for, and trying to get something on Joe Biden or something? Didn't he get impeached because of that? Because I keep seeing Zelensky coming over here, and then I'm watching the news how the Russians are bombing, they different cities and like all in there, in they inner cities with people in apartments and stuff. I don't understand that. It's like he's toying around with that man.
I mean, it's all ridiculous. And you're right. He was impeached because he tried to get Zelensky, who president of Ukraine, to come up with a story false allegations that they could use to hurt Joe Biden and help him in his chances for reelection. So yes, this is the same Zelensky that he ended up getting, dinged for by the government and brought up on impeachment charges because you literally tried to strong arm this man. We're not gonna give you certain things that we were supposed to do or help you in the long run if you don't help me come up with a bogus story on the Bidens that we can use to help me get reelected. Absolutely.
Yes, one other thing. Didn't
Yes.
you say something earlier about women and grabbing him by the neck?
No, I didn't say. I said grab
Or
him
somebody should grab him by the
by
neck?
his comb over. Yes.
Well, anyway, you mentioned the neck earlier, but if they grab him by the neck, then he'd be getting the taste of his own medicine. You know what they say about his neck?
What do they say about his neck?
Where you been?
Well, look,
Hey,
I'm about to Google it right now. No,
I heard he got a zombie. They said he had a Jimmy Kimmel call him a Google V-neck.
oh really? Oh no.
That thing under his, look at this,
Oh,
look
that
at that
turkey
neck.
thing under his neck.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh
they call
yeah.
it something
Oh
else,
yeah.
no,
Because
a
he was
female
mad
part.
because they showed it on the Time magazine cover, and he was so upset. Time had to Time had something.
That's what they were talking
Yeah,
about. They
Time
use
had to
that as
do a
an
new
example.
magazine cover because he was crying because somebody showed him how his neck looked for real, and he was all hot and bothered. Like, no, bro, that's you. That's your neck piece. So yes, I I got you. Thank you, Steve.
And Melania, you mentioned Melania.
Yes.
If anybody saw Jimmy Kimmel when they saw that Christmas song they made up and with her voice, I rolled.
Now I got to pull it up because I missed it, so I would go look for
If
it.
you see that, you will crack up.
Okay, I'm gonna look for it.
All right,
Thank you, bro. Appreciate you. My
all right.
son is listening, and he said when I talked about my grandson being in NICU, he said the bill was $384,000. $384,000, and this was 6 years ago for a baby. $384,000. So I know it's gonna get tough because these people are so ignorant. I don't see them yielding. I don't see them moving. It is going to be, the tenacity of Democrats to figure out how long you stay in this fight. But I'm gonna tell y'all right now, y'all will be hot with me because I'll be in it to the end. And whatever I had to do to help people eat, that's what I'm gonna do. But I would be in it until the end. And I mean that because Mike Johnson is on some foolishness. Donald Trump, all of these people. This is not a monarchy. You don't just get to decide, you know, how we gonna move as a nation and not have to have input debate back and forth with anybody else. That's just not how it works here. So I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that. The other thing I will say about the shutdown real quickly is this whole idea of taking $130 million from a private individual is nonsense. We have the Hatch Act. We have all kinds of ethical considerations. Nobody should be able to accept. So we have now accepted this airplane from Qatar, 200 plus $1 million. It had no business accepting that. And now somebody can, and they are no longer anonymous. Something came up where they couldn't remain anonymous. So they ended up naming this guy who, like, I guess stupid, crazy, wealthy. And you donate $130 million to help pay military salaries. But again, it's 1 million people in the military. So your little change ain't going nowhere. And I know it sounds crazy to say $130 million is a little change, but when you think about the federal payroll for the military, that's chump change. So then you got to decide who's going to be paid. Donald Trump just talking about a friend offered the money out of a sense of patriotism. Well, where's your sense of patriotism to get this resolved? Where's your patriotism? These people are breaking laws every way from Sunday. It is unbelievable that a private individual could be paying towards the salary of a government employee. Say that out loud. A private individual is paying towards the salary of a government employee. Nobody is worried about what kind of quid pro quo, what kind of favors, what kind of access you get because you let your boy have $130 million to help him not look so bad with military families. And it was another thing real quick, and call us, here I come. But I was, on social media, and a bunch of these people talking about, if you've been on welfare for longer than 2 years, then you're probably the problem. And, I think I might have mentioned it yesterday when I'm like, no, the problem is that minimum wage hasn't been raised in I don't know how many years. The problem is affordability of housing. The problem is all these predatory situations for people that are already struggling. But then a story comes out yesterday talking about the number of military families that receive food stamps. Did you hear what I just said? The number of military. So people going to work. And they were talking about how they're getting ready to be impacted. Military families receiving food stamps. So, if you've been on food stamps for longer than 2 years, you're the problem. Yes, there are some active duty service members and veterans that receive food stamps, the SNAP program, because of income eligibility guidelines. Combat pay exclusion. Combat pay, hostile fire pay, imminent danger pay are not counted as incomes, and other pay and allowances are counted. But y'all, there are people that go to work every day or have served this country admirably, and they receive SNAP benefits. So no, ignorant, it's not you the problem if you've been receiving food share for 2 years. It's not that. It's not that. But yes, we saw it all the time working in the Senate. There are people that go to work every day that qualify for food stamps. They do 40 hours. They bust their butt. They pick up overtime when they can. They still qualify for food stamps. Let me go to the phone line. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Good morning, Michelle.
Good morning. Good morning.
How are you, darling?
I'm hanging. How are you this morning?
All right. Look at here. I just want to
Look
say
at
this.
here.
Public assistance, they were talking about that about 30 years ago. They were talking about cutting it off. So my thing is, I know they're not the problem, but why are you staying on it after 5-10 years? Well, why are you making that a crutch for you? To me, they're making a crutch for public assistance. Because if you got 3 kids, and you're still on public assistance, those kids are in school, you sitting at home, but it's not us. You know what I'm saying? It's not our race that's mostly on that. No, it's not. I've seen it. The numbers. It's not us. It's not African Americans that's on that. So they don't know that those red states that voted for him, that's what you wanted, and you get what you want. That's all I got to say about that one. And as far as the military on public assistance, the government should be taking care of them. The government should be taking care of these military families. Why are they getting public assistance, food assistance? That's crazy. And then everything else is going up. They don't want to give you more money, but they want to add more work to you. I'm retired. I went back to work. They want to add more work to you. They're telling me that I can't make a certain amount of money because I'm 60. Because I went back to work because my check isn't anything. They're taking my insurance premium. You see, so I can't buy food.
Right.
I had to buy food. And then they're telling me at the Social Security office, oh, you can't work this, can't work that. I said, well, ma'am, have you seen everything? I had to go back to work. I'm just pushing myself. I have arthritis all over knees, back. Well, let me make nothing on me. But I'm just saying, they said it 30 years ago, though, that they were going to stop public assistance. They were going to stop that. Do you remember?
I do remember, but the conversation, and thank you for the call. I appreciate the call. The thing, though, that we have got to realize is that the same conditions that created the need for public assistance still exist today. You have people that are disabled, differently abled, that, they will never make $80,000 a year, $60,000 a year, 100, six figures, 7 figures because of certain limitations. So they will always have a gap in income. And to the point that you make, by the time I pay for this, and this, I don't I barely have any money. I know people that receive disability right now, a medical disability, and they are getting $86 a month in food stamps. So just because people are getting food stamps, it does not also mean you're getting some big exorbitant amount. I know somebody who gets $27 a month in food stamps. And people will be like, oh my gosh, she get food stamps. It's $27. It's $27. But remember, your income has to be at a certain threshold for you to be eligible to receive it in the first place. I just want to make sure we are clear. The minimum wage has not been increased for 15 years. It was increased in 2009 to $7.25 an hour. Before that, it had been years before we had seen an increase in the minimum wage. And were it not for COVID and people having to pay people $15, $18, $20 to come to do these jobs because people were worried about dying and being exposed to COVID, so they were not working. But in 15 years, prices have risen 37%. So your money has not risen in some cases if you make minimum wage in 15 years, but the cost of living and prices has risen 37% in 15 years. Even on Social Security, they'll talk about people will get a 2.2 or 2.1% increase to their check to adjust for the cost of living. But you got people who go to work every day. And people are like, well, then better your situation. I'm trying to do that. But now they have made it harder for me to be able to go to college because of X, Y, and Z. Now they have made it more difficult for me to be able to access programs that could have helped me change my situation. So I just caution people as we talk about why folks are in prolonged states of poverty, why people are in prolonged states of struggle. Some of this is systemic. It is. And then God forbid, the vicious cycle. You broke. You get some money to tide you over. The interest on the money to tide you over is astronomical. I mean, people stay in trouble. They do. And I know people who are doing well. I had somebody that told me, I just had this conversation with Lakeisha last night. Somebody told me, they said, hey, some things that I typically have been in terms of social organizations, I cannot afford to be in. Because you got to pay money for this, you got to pay money for this, you got to pay money for this, you got to pay money for this. And I'm looking at this person. I said, well, okay. I mean, I don't know your whole financial situation, but I know you got to be in the $80,000, $90,000 range on some income. And she said, I got 2 kids in college that I'm paying to go to school. I'm paying 3 car payments because these kids are young, but they in schools out of state and they need transportation. I am single. I am paying my mortgage. She said, so what you doing right now, I can't afford to do that. I can't afford to be in this organization. I can't afford to pay these, for these fees and these membership dues and this, and you can say nothing. And this is a college educated, good job, decent job individual who said, you don't understand. And then I got my parents getting older on my heels. So I got to start figuring out how to help pay for care for them because they won't qualify for a number of the programs unless they basically get rid of everything they own. No, you don't understand. So I'm just saying, if you struggling, why don't we understand other people struggle? And other people struggle with less education, with less supports. I'm just saying, y'all, just sometimes just think about it. Let me go to the phone line. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Good morning, Michelle.
Good morning.
I'm going to stay calm this time. Last time I was so upset about the charity donations, but I'm going to stay calm in his monotone voice.
Okay. Look, okay, let's see. Let's see. Go ahead.
Michelle,
What you
I got a
got?
question on the stamps rolling over. Was that a rumor, or how is that going to happen in November if there is still a shutdown?
So they will be on your card. They will roll over, but you won't have access to them
Oh,
until the government opens back up. So
because
that's
I'm
why they
concerned
told
about my
people,
grandmother.
yeah, that's why
Okay.
they told people go ahead and spend the money. Don't let it sit. Buy dry goods, buy meat, put it in the freezer. Go ahead and spend the money because
Okay.
it'll once the government reopens, that money will be there, but we don't know how long that's gonna be.
My vote is for the Democrats to hold the line because we're going to get screwed any way it goes. So we might as well get the health care. My C-section was $50,000. I have private insurance, but the point that I'm making is the astronomical cost for health care in America.
Right.
So at the end of the day, yes, there's going to be some sacrifices, but as a people, we know how to be resilient. The others that voted for him, I saw Stephanie Ruhl's show last night on MSNBC, and it was a farmer out there talking about the soybeans and how he's getting screwed by Trump. The sad part, they're going to go back and vote for Trump again. So we might as well try to get something out of this, which is the health care, right?
I mean, we gotta, and that's just the first leg of this fight. But you're
Oh,
absolutely right.
man.
That's the first leg of it. But we are in so much we're in so much hot water when we look at what they are doing with redistricting and trying to change these lines to give Republicans a permanent majority in terms of power, making it difficult for Democrats to ever even come close to getting back in control. It's crazy.
Mm.
So you got other states now that's being asked to like come in and counteract what Texas is doing, Republican
Mm-hmm.
control. I mean, these fights are only going to get bigger. They're only going to get
Okay.
bigger. So we going to either, like you said, hold the line right now because we got to send messages to Republicans. We ain't here. We ain't playing with y'all today.
So
We,
it's
we, we not
layers
here
and
for it.
layers and layers.
Yeah,
It's not just one issue.
and because Democrats have typically acquiesced and said for the greater good, people suffering, blah, blah, blah. We gonna bow down, we gonna break, we gonna bend, we gonna give them what they want. Hell no. Not today. Not today.
Last
Not
last
today.
two questions.
Yes, ma'am.
So do we need all Democrats to hold the line, or if we have two or three hop over, it's a wrap?
We already
Is
know
that how
that.
that works?
Well, so look, what can happen is that Democrats will try to give some Democrats cover. So down in Georgia, Warnock and Ossoff basically have said that they was going to side with Republicans to pass this bill to reopen the government.
Oh,
But it wasn't enough, to get them to the 60 that they needed. So sometimes you'll look the other way because you understand they're doing what they think they got to do to get reelected down in Georgia. But this is
got
one
it.
time.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we know, okay, we can let them two slide because we still got enough to hold the line that unless they go to the nuclear option, we can keep them, from doing this kind of damage. But there also will be moments when people will look at, folks and be like,
And
because
then work the election.
yeah, you
Yeah.
got to understand. And some people will tell you like, this is not about you keeping your seat.
Yes.
This is
Yes.
about
Yes.
what's needed in this moment. And then there will be folks that say, but it's not that I'm trying to keep the seat. I'm trying to keep the seat democratic, and so they'll argue it from that lens. But I'm just saying we need everybody to hold the line. We really do. I was
They
really
cutting
upset.
stamps.
Huh?
They cutting stamps for giving out Argentina bailouts. They're building these ballrooms. We have the money. This is just pure cruelty, in my opinion. And I think Hakeem Jeffries just needs to keep pushing that message so that it gets across. But I say we hold the line. And then lastly, Michelle, Governor Evers. So should we be looking at the Donald Trump chaos or trying to focus on getting a Democrat governor
We got to do it
in
all.
place for Wisconsin?
We
Got to do it.
We got to do it. I know.
Oh,
We got to do it all. We got to do it all. But that's
I'm
why
trying
it's
to come like with one thing to focus on, Michelle. Like, okay, what should be the issue here? And you're saying no, it's just too many to juggle
But
right
look, no,
now.
what I'm saying is, so one person doesn't have to do it all,
Yes,
but
yes,
all of us
yes.
have to do something. So we
Something.
got a
Okay.
section of us that's got the governor's race. A section of us is dealing with what's going on in DC. A section of us is dealing with what's going on here in the county and the city. So if we work collectively, we can address all of the issues if everybody is willing to take a lane. But
So that means Dr. Myers and Michelle need to get back in politics.
you know what, girl?
Amen.
Look, bye. You said you weren't gonna get loud.
I concur.
We can let her go. All right. So look, we just got somebody that hit us up and said that they have received a notification on the 24th that if there was money left over on their SNAP food share card, it would be available. That's in the state of Wisconsin for November, despite the federal government shutdown. So some individual states could still have made money available on the Quest card, but that's in Wisconsin. That's not across the board. Okay. In Wisconsin, not across the board. And no one knows what the situation will be, God forbid, if this goes beyond November. So thank you for the person that pointed that out. I had not seen that information that had come out. But also understand, if you don't have any money on your card, no new money is going to be posted to that card in November until the shutdown is over. Okay? No new money. So your new benefits will not post until the shutdown is over. Unused benefits are not going to expire, but they won't be available in some places until after the shutdown is over. So Wisconsin, Governor Evers is trying to make moves to be able to figure out how to help folks in Wisconsin, even though Republicans have said that we have a rainy day fund here. And if the federal government was not going to make SNAP benefits available, we could have stepped in to help out. And Republicans here in Wisconsin said, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. I need to take a break. Caller, I see you. If you can hang on through the break for me, I'll be right back.
UNOV.
All right, family, welcome back to the show. I have a caller who held through the break, so let's get them in. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Hey, good morning. How y'all doing?
I'm good. How you doing this morning, bro?
Good, good. We need to be very careful with this. I made it. I had two kids. I was a single mom. I did it. I don't see why everybody else ain't doing it. You don't know everybody's struggle. You don't know. You ain't been in everybody's household. You don't know if people that lost parents that they were dependent on to watch the kids and they ended up losing their job because of that. Some of these parents out here done lost kids and they ain't been able to recover mentally from that. There's a thousand different situations that people go through that has knocked them on their back and they ain't been able to recover. But this talk of I did it, somebody else should be able to do it too. That type of stuff, that type of talk, like really gets on my nerves to hear, especially our people say that. Have some compassion. Give people a little leeway. You don't know what people are struggling with mentally, what they might be struggling with physically that has knocked them on their butt and they haven't been able to recover. And we need to start showing more compassion and understanding, especially for our own. And this man also was supposed to come out with this American First agenda that he was talking about running during the election. So right now we at Argentina, what is it, 40 billion, Milwaukee County infrastructure, zero.
Right.
That's the American First agenda.
Mm. All right. Look, well said comments, bro. Thank you so much for weighing in. I appreciate it. Well said. All right, y'all. So, is there another call? Oh, okay. Let me get them. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Hey, how you doing? I think they're fighting some inner demons because everything they speak against, they already have in their party. And I'm surprised they want to take away health care when they're so deep and indulge in drugs. And when you look at these rural counties while their daughters running to the truck stop, or they up here doing all these coke, dope, and mushrooms, I would think they would need all the health care that they need. But my question to you, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't the orange man one time talking about another male's anatomy or something? Because it's kind of giving me funny bunny vibes. And then I know they speak so much against it, yet they have the one who went up beside Elon Musk's head, like a real G who's married to a man. I don't never hear none of these Republicans speak on that. I think probably is what happens is they have got in there too deep and they effed all the money up. Because sometimes when they get in that crack, coke, and dope, they do some of everything. So they need all the health care they need. So I just don't understand why they would take that out because everything they complain about, they have in their own party in their household. So it ain't going to be no food on that paper plate.
All right, fair enough. Thank you, bro. Appreciate
Have a
it.
good day.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know if it was Joy Reid. Somebody did this whole thing. Like, so what is all the hostility and the anger about? Like, you literally controlling everything right now, but yet y'all still some of the maddest people on the planet. Like, what, what is the issue and the drama? Let me go to the next caller. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
I want to give you an A plus for your presentation, these dissertations today in particular, but throughout your career and your being on the radio.
Thank you, sir.
This whole situation is a money situation. It has nothing to do with all this other bull they're bringing up. Our national debt is messed up because we borrow money from foreign countries, and the interest is what's making it get bigger. And when the stock market goes down, we sell treasury bonds, and nobody can buy those bonds but the rich. Social Security is a problem because the people with money don't pay Social Security commensurate with what they have or make. The poor pay no taxes because they can't. The rich don't pay taxes because they don't have to. And that leaves everybody where they are with nothing. Only people paying taxes is people like you and me who make about 30,000 a year. then, then another thing is, I had 4 procedures medical procedures. I have good insurance, grandfather, and the first procedure they sent me a bill for $150,000,
Mm,
and I said I've had four, right?
right.
I've said this before, and I'll say it again. When you get a bill from your insurance company telling you how much the medical procedure costs, that's not real because hospitals and doctors have to give the insurance company rebates. That's a tax strategy. You know, you get a bill for this, but they didn't pay it. Or it's just like Menards. You get a rebate. A lot of people don't cash the rebate in, so they still get the money. That's a little, what you call them. And again, I'm going to hold it against you and Dr. Rideout and Dr. Ferris, Reverend Dr. Ferris, for not getting us college credit or postgraduate credits for y'all's presentation. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Somebody sent me a message and they said, Michelle, exactly how much money does the state of Wisconsin pay out in terms of food share? Because that piqued their interest, when the person who hit Jermaine said, hey, let Michelle know that in Wisconsin, we got an update saying that if we got some benefits still on the SNAP card, we'd be able to access them in November. I went and looked for the information. It was in a story in the Journal Sentinel. The state provides about $113.6 million per month in food share benefits, all of which is funded by the federal government. All of which is funded by the federal government. Um, and so, yeah, that's what kind of money we deal with. And we are only a state of 6 million people. Remember, you got Cali. Cali got like 40 million residents. I don't know how many residents are in New York, but we are only a state of 6 million people. Like the city of New York has more residents, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just look it up real quick. Number of residents in New York City. Because I know I did this. Yes. The city of New York, just the city, not the state of New York, the city of New York has 8.4 million residents. We got 6 million residents, almost 7 million residents in the entire state of Wisconsin. Okay. And yet these are the kind of numbers that we do in relationship to SNAP benefits. So look, y'all, let me take a quick break. When we come back, a couple of other little stories, one of which I got to talk about. Y'all know I'll be the first one to go hard on police when stuff is crazy. But when I say I got to give kudos to these two officers that say this, baby, woo, child, I was breathing hard when I saw the video, the way they had to. I'll talk about it when I come back. I'll be right back. WNOV 860 AM 106.5 FM.
A life-saving moment captured on police body cam video.
Yeah, this video shows officers responding to a rollover in Fort Worth.
So when they arrived to the scene, they found an overturned SUV and bystanders frantically telling them that a baby was trapped underneath that vehicle. Together, they lifted that SUV, freeing that baby, and then immediately began CPR.
After a few minutes of searching for a pulse, they finally felt that little faint beat. One of them says it was a heart-pumping moment he'd been preparing for.
You don't feel the relief right then and there. You feel the relief moments later after your adrenaline's all worked up. You do what the police department has trained you to do.
The police chief says he chose to post the now viral video on their social media to show their officers' heroic actions to the world. That's awesome.
Wow, I'm so glad they were there.
Brought that little baby back. Oh.
Breaks your heart just to see it.
All right, so I gotta just take a second. I just gotta take a second because when I'm watching the late evening news and this comes on, I look up and the video is startling because the mom and the baby are ejected from the car. It was a car collision. Mom is ejected. The baby, though, the way the car when the car flips, the baby's pinned under the car. And so, as they said, folks that saw the accident, they yell, the police happened to be in the area. It was all just everything lined up that needed to line up. The police happened to be in the area. And they tell the passerbyers, look, help us get this car up so we can try to grab this baby. Because the mother is able to yell, even though she's been injected. I don't know what kind of medical situation she is in, that her baby is in that car. Her baby was in the car. And so they are able to get this car up. And these officers, one was a Sergeant Nichols and the other one, his name was Officer Bounds. They were able to get this car up. And then to see this officer, they dragged the baby out, like face down. That was the first thing. I was like, oh my God, they dragging the baby, Jesus. And then you see him flip the baby over. And I promise the guy, I just had a black person moment. I was like, oh Jesus, it's a black baby. I did. I had a whole black lady moment.
Michelle, when you first mentioned it, when we were in break, I had seen it, but I didn't notice what I just
the skin
noticed.
Complexion.
Yeah, when you was like around the midsection there, that's a black baby.
Yeah, I mean,
just now when I was looking, I'm going, that is a black baby.
Yeah. And
real dark baby too. The baby look like
dark skin baby.
Look like Clark Kent baby.
You know what? See, now you're doing way too much. You're doing way too much. So when they flip the baby, and then I'm looking and I'm terrified to look because I don't know what kind of condition this child is in. And then they blur the baby's face, but you can see the baby's midsection. Like I said, her little shirt had come up. So you could see the baby's stomach. And I was like, oh, Jesus, it's a black baby. And the officer takes his 2 fingers and because this baby is like, I forgot if they said the baby's like a year old, but the officer takes their 2 fingers. Yes, a year old. And just starts to do these chest compressions. And, they like, talking like, come on. And then the baby's still not responding. So then one of the officers says, turn on her side. Let's make sure the passageway is clear. So they do that. Then they flip the baby back. And then they doing the 2 finger press compressions. And then you hear this faint little cry. And then even the officers, everybody get excited. They're like, okay. Like we got her. We gonna be okay. We gonna get her. And literally they said that she had a pulse, but she was not breathing. They could not figure out what was going on. And so they were able to help this child. And she let out this little bitty cry. And the officers just elated. Firefighters show up. They were wrapping the child up and carrying her in the ambulance to get further medical treatment. Then they got back to folks to let everybody know mom and the infant are in stable condition, expected to make a full recovery. But when I say that I also wanted to join the rest of the country that had an opportunity to see this video in thanking these officers and the pedestrians, people that came to help, all of these, were predominantly white or white. I couldn't see. I just know the one white woman. I saw her standing there. Like in these moments of crisis, I don't see race. I don't see skin color in terms of my decision to help or not to help, to care or not to care. You know, police versus the, back the blue and civilians and Black Lives Matter. Like all of it collided, and all of these people worked together to make sure that that little girl had a chance. And so I appreciated them officers so much. I almost,
In this day and
woo,
time we live in now, I mean, you need, and I'm not going to say feel good stories, but it does make you feel good to know that there are folks out there, in spite of the baby being an African American baby, that just said we saving a life.
Yeah.
That goes a long way. We just need to see this kind of stuff happen. We're so divided right now. It's scary.
And that is exactly the lens by which I looked at it, because you think of everything that's happening, the way conversations happen, even the way I talk, about some of the things that we're seeing. A lot of it is divided along racial lines. And so to see all of these people jump in and help this family in the way that they did, and I know it happens, but you just you lose sight of it sometimes. And the other part of it is, I go hard on law enforcement. I will clown the hell out of law enforcement if I think things are not right. But I always say the opportunity to be fair, you have to do that. You have to acknowledge when people do the right things. And they hung in there with that baby. They would not stop. He kept going. They turn her, start again, stop again. They did not leave that baby girl hanging. And I'm just so appreciative. And like I said, it does. Somebody said it, when we talked about something else, sometimes stuff hit differently. When I realized I was a little black baby, I was like, oh, Jesus, Lord have mercy. So I just appreciated it. And in that same vein, I am now thinking about all my folks. And I mean, in terms of ethnicity and race, that's getting ready to get hit by Hurricane Melissa in Jamaica. Y'all, when they're saying that this storm, they believe is going to be stronger than Hurricane Katrina, category 5. And for people that have visited, the Caribbean and gone to Jamaica, you understand what the infrastructure there looks like. You understand how hilly it is. They've already had mudslides. 3 people have already been declared dead as it relates to this particular storm. Somebody just hit me up and said, yeah, up to 40 inches of rain. They're getting ready to get months worth of rain in the course of a few days. And then they said it's a slow moving storm. So it's not like, it's the weather's crazy, but it's just going to come in and it's just going to pass on over. It's going to linger. It's going to bring all that same amount of rain, but it's just going to slowly move across, the landscape of this area. And so, and I take it back. I just looked at an updated story. I pulled it up. Now they have said 7 fatalities have already occurred across the Caribbean due to this hurricane. There were people that were trying to get out. They showed people trying to get to ATMs to get money. They showed folks who were saying, I think I'm going to try to, withstand it and hang in there. And this is the thing. They have never had a storm of this magnitude. And normally when other people are willing to jump in and help and say, how can we send resources? We know that Haiti is going to be impacted by this storm, as well as the Dominican Republic. Okay. And then we have folks leading our country right now who have no generosity of spirit, particularly when it comes from Black and brown people, who could give a flying fig about what happens, as you don't even appreciate Americans in terms of Puerto Rico and what happened there. So we know when aid needs to be sent to Jamaica and to Haiti and to the Dominican Republic, that you got people that will be sitting there in complete, like, we ain't in no hurry. We ain't in no hurry to help and do nothing. So please keep these people in prayer and whatever it is you believe in, faith, religious wise, because when I say, if this lives up in any way to what and just think about it, 7 people have already died. They have not even seen, the worst of the worst. They were talking about last night that the conditions were deteriorating. Mandatory evacuations have been issued, trying to get people out of there. But this is that piece, like Hurricane Katrina, when money becomes real, because everybody don't have money in the bank to be able to get in a car and drive 100 miles away, 200, 300 miles away to safety. Everybody don't have the ability to hop a plane and get out of the region. um I don't have anywhere to go. And so that was one of the things. And remember what I said when I came back from a trip that we had taken, and we were in Jamaica, and I was asking, like, how much money do people make an hour here and what was going on. And I had some people that was irritated because I cared about the economic situation of people that look like me, in this area, that we spending thousands of dollars to be here, kick it, parlay, all inclusive resort. And you got people who work there who said, I could never even stay here. Like, if I save my check for an entire month, I couldn't even stay here. And then when I asked people questions, how much do y'all make an hour? The man didn't understand what I meant. I said, your pay. What's the pay here? He said, oh, $50. And I was like, a day? He was like, the week. So you make $2 an hour a day? For an 8-hour day, you make $2, you make $16 a day. Like, I was blown away by some of the, the income situations. And it's not that way for everybody, but it's that way for way too many people. So folks that look like us are getting ready to get impacted severely if all of this holds up. This Hurricane 5 stays in place. Y'all, keep these folks in prayer. And if you got family members over, and I thought about immediately Alderwoman Charlene Moore and Wisconsin Voices Executive Director David Bowen. I remember going to a funeral in David's family and seeing a number of his Jamaican relatives, and Charlene's Jamaican relatives, that you heard that thick accent. They talked about the family. They talked about, what it meant to have come to the country. You could see the pride that they had and what their family had been able to accomplish. People in Milwaukee that are connected to folks in Jamaica. So please pay attention to what's happening over there. Is that a phone call for me? We good? Okay. So please, please, please pay attention to what's happening to our brothers and sisters in Jamaica, because it's going to get real over there before it gets better. I wanted to make sure I said that. Last couple of things. Today is one of my days to end early, but I wanted to just highlight, if I could, 2 other quick things before I get out of here today. So, number one, the race that is happening in New York. When I tell y'all, pay attention, pay attention, pay attention. Mandani and Cuomo, where folks are getting ready to line up, they are talking about early vote numbers. We don't have an election here in Wisconsin, obviously, for this fall season. We will be doing 4 elections next year. Supreme Court races, spring, and then you got all of the big boy races, governor, blah, 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 in the fall. So we'll have the primaries and the general. So next year we will be busy as all get out in Wisconsin. Right now, we get to sit back and watch what everybody else is doing. And when I tell you that what's going on with this New York election, first of all, their early voting has been like 164,000 people. And what'd you say, Deba? Yeah, these numbers are staggering. They talked about Mandani doing event, and he had like 10,000 people at his event. And these are like numbers you do when people running for president.
Right.
These are not numbers that you see when folks are running for, to be mayor of a city, even though it's a city as big as New York.
Michelle, didn't I hear something in the news, whereas there were some threats that if certain people won or something to that effect, that they would cut funding or something.
Donald Trump has said that if Zohran Mamdani is successful, he is going to look for every possible way to hurt New York that he can. He has said it. He has said it. He has said it.
Well, he is Petty Betty.
And I mean, again, because he's not the president of the United States.
He's president for some.
He's the president of red states. He's the president, for his wealthy millionaire friends, but he is not the president of the United States. That
Let
What's
me get
going
out the
on?
way, y'all. Get out the way.
Y'all, we got a fire truck trying to come through, and folks trying to figure out how to get out the way.
Speaking of which, Michelle, did you see? Well, you may not have seen it yesterday. I'm leaving here, and I see a fire truck being towed in. It was on the news this morning. The wheel fell off the truck.
Shut up! What?
I'm not lying to you.
But that's what
Lipsy
Chief has been
he
saying.
was just down there last week. He's saying that's our last ladder truck, as far as we don't have an extra ladder truck.
Yeah, that's what the chief has been saying. Like, nah, y'all don't
I
understand.
seen it came right
This
by the
fleet is in
station with the
bad
wheel
shape.
hanging off of
The
it.
wheel.
I told Clark about it. I said, man, I ain't never seen the fire truck get towed in.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. No, I missed that, but I know I heard the chief saying, like, this situation with our fleet is real. We got to be able to modernize and get some better equipment.
Come on, we got to borrow a truck. Hey, can I borrow a truck? What kind of city are we running around here? We need to borrow.
Particularly because we are first class city. We're the only first class city in the state, which means we got.
Is that what it is? And that truck is 20 years old.
Yeah, but again, I just looked at what the county executive and them were talking about doing. The sheriff put in for some money for cameras and all of that stuff for her budget, and the county is basically we're gonna have to take that money to deal with some of this budget shortfalls. And so the sheriff and them are like, yeah, but I need to be able to monitor what's going on. When y'all talking to me about in custody deaths and some of our systems are outdated, not working. And I put in the budget request and was able to secure this money only to have it be taken from me. So yeah, it's real. It is absolutely real. But no, Debo, I didn't see that. Yeah. I'll go look for it. I'll go look
on
for
the tow
story.
truck. Fire truck.
So let me just end here since we are up against the clock. I will talk about the races tomorrow in Virginia, in New York. We got one other state that's in play. Am I watching Florida? It's someplace else I'm watching in terms of what happens with these gubernatorial and these mayoral races, because there is a shift underfoot. We will look at these races to help us determine what may happen next year in midterms. But while the turnout has been brisk, and the baby boomers, those 50-ish and up a little bit, those are the people that's been falling through, ironically, to get those ballots cast early. But it is going to be something else. I'm sorry. And somebody said, so what do you think? Mamdani does not have experience in relationship to leading a city. He just doesn't. He doesn't. But Cuomo, I don't look past the allegations of the sexual harassment of your female staff. I don't look past that. I don't look past that you lied during the COVID briefings and did some posturing that was some nonsense. I don't look past that. The sad part for me is that these end up being the choices.
Now, who was it that minority speaker just endorsed?
Mamdani.
Okay.
Yeah. And Hakeem had to. The pressure was real.
Yeah, he certainly was under pressure.
Yeah. And A.L. Smith, everybody look, this is who the people overwhelmingly saying they support. And the Democratic Party leadership is dragging their feet on supporting this man. And even the endorsement, you had to listen to it. It was kind of a lukewarm, a tepid endorsement. Mm-hmm. We agree on certain points and therefore I'm going to be in. But you can hear kind of like the resignation in Hakeem's endorsement statement. So we got to talk about these races because they are bellwethers, a canary in the mine, if you will, mm-hmm. about what may potentially happen next year. All I know is that down in Virginia, I want, what's her name? Winsome, what's that black lady name? That's a Republican down there. Winsome Earl Sears. I want them to beat the brakes off her. That black lady is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. When I say like the brakes need to fall off, the brakes need to fall off in that race down in Virginia. Ooh, I'm sick
that
of that.
sounds so violent.
I'm just guys, man. You got to listen to the stuff this
That
lady
sound like
say.
more than an election.
Man, her
sound
and
like you
Candace
wanted to get
Owens
whooped.
together. And when I get time, I had to go back because I had a conversation about Clarence Thomas and this whole 1965 Voting Rights Act, and that he may be the last little, piece of the puzzle in terms of destroying the 1965 Voting Rights Act. And white folks, all championing for Clarence Thomas, and baby, I had to go back and revisit history, and it was black folks that helped Clarence Thomas get across the finish line because they chose him over Anita Hill. I got to talk about that this week.
Yeah.
But it was black folks, black men and women that are part of the reason why Clarence Thomas behind is on the Supreme Court.
But they drug her through the mud, though.
He was on his way out. Those hearings, he was getting roasted. And then he did the high-tech lynching. And all the black people, yeah, Lord, I know what it means to be lynched. And they chose to side with him over the woman who was accusing him and two other women who they didn't let testify. And I had to back up and say, wait a minute.
I don't think it was common knowledge that he was married to a white woman. I didn't know it.
Oh, yeah, because they showed him and the white lady reading the Bible together. During the whole little trial, but during the whole little confirmation hearings, they showed this wholesome looking picture of him and his white wife reading the Bible together while, showing Anita Hill looking like, she was just some chick trying to sleep her way to the top. And so we got to talk about it. Because I was like, and see, that's why I tell black folks, just because somebody black and look like you still got to scrutinize what they saying, what their record is before you put them in office. We are partly to blame for Clarence Thomas behind being in the Supreme Court because we chose to look the other way on the pornography, on the pubic. Somebody just text me the pubic hair on the can of the soda. We chose to look the other way. Yes.
Can we see you tomorrow?
Oh yeah, I'm leaving.
Okay.
No. You ain't gotta say all that. Just say bye. Bye. All right, family. I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. Clark, I'm with you, bro. Family, I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Demo.